Good morning. Welcome to United First Parish Church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are in your journey, welcome to our Unitarian Universalist spiritual community. As we gather today, we acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the Neponset Band of the Massachusetts tribe, a people who have lived here for generations and who live here now. I'm Ann Parsley. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the Ministerial Intern here at UFPC. Friends from near and far, in person or via live stream, longtime members and newcomers alike, welcome to everyone. First-time visitors or returning newcomers, if you're comfortable, go ahead and raise your hand so that we might offer you a small token of welcome. We are glad you're here, and we hope you and everyone present today will join us for a social hour in the parish hall after the service. Our worship team this morning includes Albert Vaughn and David Bosquin, our greeters and ushers. Our live stream team, Jason Sharrett and Noel Pilatus. The flowers were done by Pat Artis, Claire Fitzmaurice, Katie Sharrett, and Allegra Taylor. And the social hour is provided today by Marie-Louise Jackson-Miller and Leslie Simpson. We strive to be a welcoming community to people of all ages and abilities. So in the back of the sanctuary, near our usher, you will find large print hymnals, hearing assistance headsets that can connect to our sound system, which can also be helpful for people sensitive to distracting background noise, and children's books, busy bags, and drawing materials that anyone, children or not, is welcome to bring to their seats. We have handicapped accessible bathrooms on our lower level with elevator access in that corner. Please see the greeter if you need to use the restroom during the service. As we prepare ourselves for worship, let us take a deep breath together, feeling the spirit of life and love that moves within, between, and beyond us all. And I invite G. Fred Shepard to share a reading as we light our chalice, the symbol of the Unitarian Universalist faith.
Good morning. I'm G. Fred. That's short for George Frederick. And I'd like to share these words with you that come from Adam Slate. We gather this morning as one community, a community united by common ideals, love, justice, diversity, freedom, mutual care, equity. Yet look around, look at the faces of those around you. Each face represents an individual, every one of us with our own story, needs, strengths, and faults. We light our chalice today honoring our common connection and also the uniqueness that lives within each of us. Now please rise as you are willing and able and join in the reading of our congregation's covenant. The words are found in your order of service. As a free fellowship of this historic church, we unite to lift our hearts and open our minds to a larger reality, to accept, support, and encourage one another, to seek the wisdom in all religions, to cherish and sustain the web of life, and to strive for justice, compassion, and peace. Now let us greet our neighbors, one another, in the spirit of fellowship and peace. And as we remain standing in body or spirit, let us lift our voices in song for hymn number 347. It's in the gray hymnal, Gather the Spirit.
Spirit.
Let us return to that deep breath of life and love that is always there to ground and guide us. Let us take a deep breath together, relaxing. Let us take a deep breath together as we share a moment of silent meditation. Will you lift your hearts and join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation, listening in these words for the language of faith that is most meaningful to you? Our prayer today includes words by Reverend Liz Weber. Eternal presence, known by many names, known in many ways, Spirit of life, help us to be present with all that is our life, both our deepest sorrows and our greatest joys, so that we can truly live, engaging fully in our own life and in our community. Spirit of community, help us know how linked we are, how each one of our cares touches us all. Help us to ask for support when we are in need, and offer our support to others when we are able, so that we may rest in the solace of one another's love. Spirit of love, help us to love our neighbor as we love ourselves, so that we might fully embody love and resist hatred. Spirit of resistance, help us to stick up for what is right, even when we are tired or afraid. Help us to dream of the world as it should be and act to bring that world about. Help us to find hope each day. Spirit of hope, help us through this day and every day. Help us to be present for all that is our life. Source of our being, source of our goodness, we pray this for love's sake. Amen, and blessed be. Please stand now, embody your spirit, and join in singing hymn number 402 in the gray hymnal, From You I Receive. This hymn is a single verse. Joe will play it once through for us, and then we'll sing it 3 times. And as we do, I invite you to look around and sing it to your neighbors. In a delightful example of human imperfection when creating beauty, we have overlooked the message for all ages. If there are any children who would like to join us in the front row with their families, you're welcome. If we have no children today, we still have people of all other ages, and so we'll do the message anyway. The theme of the service today is quilting. Some of us may know how to quilt, and some of us may have quilts, and some of us may not. But I have brought with me some quilts of my family. And if anyone wishes to join us in the front seat, we can take a look at them. If anyone wishes to see them from afar, that's fine. My beautiful assistant will now hold up the first quilt, the red and white one. Thank you. People of all ages. All right. This quilt was made by my mother's 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 mother. So my great-great-grandmother, Mary Alice Jacobs Hum in Illinois. It's a bed quilt. It's what's called a scrap quilt. She was a thrifty woman. She made all the clothes for her family. And the colored pieces and the little patches are all from clothes that she had made from her family. Now, I don't know who wore the white polka-dotted red dress, and I don't know who wore the green shirt, but she would have known. And as all scrap quilts are, this is a set of memories. She would have known who wore all of those clothes, and they would give her memories. If you look at it closely later, you'll find that some of the blocks, the pattern isn't quite right. One or two pieces are the wrong color. That's because if you're very thrifty, you just make do with what you have. You don't try to waste money buying something just for one little thing. It will still keep you warm. And it has kept me warm. It's been on my bed. It's been on my mother's bed. It's been on beds in the family for about 90 years. We think it was made in the 1930s. And scrap thrifty quilts are a lesson in making do with what you have, and that things can be beautiful even if they are not perfect. Perfection is not the point. This is a completely different one. It's called a crazy quilt. This one was made by Carrie Williams, and she is my father's father's mother's mother, so also my great-grandmother, but she made it in the 1880s when she was a young woman. Crazy quilts also are thrifty. They use the scraps, but they don't change them. You have to fit them together just the way they come. They're much more challenging, and they're all unique. They also tend to be embellished with embroidery, painting, ribbons, and things. And Carrie must have loved a challenge, and she was also being thrifty with her dress scraps at the same time. And that's a lesson in, again, make do with what you have, and it doesn't have to look like what anybody else makes. Everybody's crazy quilt is completely different. That last little one is a more modern one. This is only about as old as I am. So it's from the 1960s, and it's a quilt made by the ladies of the United Methodist Church in Centralia for my little sister when she was a baby. And it's a baby quilt. It's machine stitched. It's not hand stitched. It doesn't have little embellishments of lace on it. It's something you can chew on and spit up on and make a mess on, and it can go in the washing machine. Because it's still beautiful, but it's useful. All right. So thank you for listening to my little quilt talk here. Thank you. I appreciate having an audience in the front row. So if you have quilts at home, take a look and see. Maybe you remember who made them or who did, and you don't know at all. Maybe you know what that piece of fabric is, or maybe you don't. But I've saved up a bunch of pieces of fabric, and maybe someday, maybe I'll make a quilt.
Through the sharing of our joys and sorrows, we create a sacred space where we are deeply present with ourselves and one another. This is a time to briefly share the life milestones that lift your spirits and joy or hope, or the pains and losses that fill you with heartache. If you have a joyous sorrow to share, please come forward, share your name, and speak from this microphone. Or alternatively, you can raise your hand and an usher will bring you the handheld microphone. Folks joining us over Zoom can write their joys and sorrows in the chat, and they will be read aloud for you here in the sanctuary. Now, as we begin our sharing, we light a candle of joy, knowing that a joy shared is a joy magnified. And we also light a candle of sorrow, knowing that a sorrow shared is a burden lightened. Now let us open our hearts to one another.
All right, we're back on track. Our reading today is called Blue Sky Returning by Linda Susan Ulrich. Before I moved to Michigan, friends warned me about the long months of overcast skies. I lived in climates where winter came with snow and freezing temperatures, but also included plenty of sunshine and that sharp cobalt blue reserved for particularly cold days. Here, though, the sunshine and the blue seemed to vanish sometime in November. By the time April rolls around, I find the blue that returns to the sky confusing. My brain can't quite make sense of it. My eyes are so unused to anything other than gray that they don't know how to process the richness of another color. It's as though they've survived on thin gruel for several months and are suddenly presented with molten chocolate cake. I can fall into living like that too, hunkered down, nose to the grindstone, out of touch with what feeds my soul. I'll focus so much on getting through the bare essentials of the day that I'm not sure what to do when an opportunity for joy pops up. Is it real? Do I deserve Technicolor experiences? Shouldn't I keep my expectations low since the gray will inevitably return? Then I remind myself that my singular life is part of that Technicolor tapestry, along with the tumbling waterfalls and the purring cats and the unfurling blossoms. I can no more step outside the vibrant flow of life than I can reverse the cycles of the seasons. However imperfectly I may be living this life of mine, there's no one better at it, and there's no one else who can do it for me. While the gray days aren't over yet, there's still joy to be found in the shapes of bare branches against a luminous sky. A veil may obscure the vivid hues for now, but I can look with new eyes for the essential richness underneath. Inescapable love, help us find opportunities for joy wherever they appear. Remind us of spring's heady perfumes, exuberant colors, and the warmth of sun on our skin. When the road seems endless, reconnect us to the deeper essentials of our lives so that we may be sustained. Our lives can be considered as quilts. Some of them are fitted neatly together, the pieces in orderly patterns. But there are pieces that sometimes interrupt our patterns with dramatic impact. The people we love, and the people we don't know very well, and the people who are making our lives difficult and are very hard to love sometimes, are all pieces in the quilts of our lives. The places we love, the ones built by human hands or by nature's power, the places that we fear, all of these are in our quilts too, as are the beauties of sunsets and laughter and poems that strike our hearts, but also tears and grief, disasters and mistakes. These are also pieces in our life's quilts. Many traditional quilts, like the red and white bed quilt, are designed in repeating geometric patterns, simple or complex, but regular and symmetrical. They're often made of all cotton fabric, the same weight and texture, with harmonious colors, arranged in geometric patterns, more or less intricate, more or less bold, but pleasingly symmetrical and regular. The quilting, those stitches that unite the top patchwork with the center layer of padding and the bottom cloth. The quilting might be done in simple diagonal lines across the pattern, or more subtly around the edges of the pieces. Some people like their lives to be as regular as a geometric quilt, organized, efficient, habitual. And there is beauty in this, especially if you take care to cultivate good habits that support you. Regularly do those things that are healthy or pleasant and sustain your soul. Smell the roses, play with the cat, tend your vegetable garden, ride your motorcycle. Do some wholesome self-care habits that build your connections to the other pieces in your life. Take a walk every morning with a friend. Or read before bed and connect with people you'll never meet through books. But this sort of patterned life can be comfortable, peaceful, healthy, and stable. Some people would find it really boring, but some people find it very soothing. Other quilts are designed around a central focus. I don't have an example here, but a medallion quilt has a border, often complex, but one big thing in the center of the whole piece. Could be one single huge diamond. Could be a 16-pointed star made up of tiny multicolored diamonds. Maybe it's a basket of flowers done in applique, the pieces laid on and sewn around the edges with embroidery thread. Bless you. The lines of the quilting in these pieces outline the central motif or draw attention to it, making the eye go to that central focus. Some people's lives are like these medallion quilts. One thing, one piece is central. Everything else is a frame or a background for the one passion that calls them. Someone like Alvin Ailey, the great dancer and choreographer of New York City, whatever else he may have done in his life, dance was the focus. Everything else was a frame or a background, and everything he saw happening in the world was an inspiration for him to create choreographies to dance. Some kinds of careers, particularly in the arts, but others as well, the ones that feel more like callings, can create such a focused life. Everywhere a journalist goes, even when they're on vacation, they see stories. And everywhere a teacher goes, they see potential lesson plans. The central focus of the life shapes how we see it, and how we see the world and the people in it, and how we connect those into our quilt. And then there are the lives that are like crazy quilts. They're pieced together from a lot of different scraps of different sizes and shapes and colors and textures and patterns, and they get little bits of lace and embroidery and buttons added on just for fun. They're bright or cheerful, but they often seem really chaotic. There's no overall pattern. The shapes are all irregular, and each of them is absolutely unique. Some people's lives are like a crazy quilt, and they don't have regular patterns that the rest of us can see. Maybe they move often, and they have to keep meeting new people and adapting to new communities that mean they have to change their habits all the time. Maybe they just have a hard time fitting into the patterns and the institutions that other people think are important and normal, like school systems or workplaces. Because their style of thinking or interacting with the world is different from the local norms and experiences and expectations. Lives like this might look to other people like a jumble of experiences, a tangle of relationships, all messy and confusing and unstable. May even look disturbing. Sometimes that's exactly what they feel like to the people with the crazy quilt lives. But don't assume that. Crazy quilt people may just love adventures and hate regimentation. They love to explore new places or try new things or meet new people. Crazy quilt people often identify someone as family based on love, not on bloodlines or requirements or expectations. They value freedom more than stability, curiosity more than comfort. And the patterns they design for their lives do make sense to them, and the pieces they put together are precious in their eyes. And that's what matters, not what other people think about them. Some of the pieces of our lives we inherit from our families, the relationships to family members, membership in ethnic groups or other communities, genetic traits, recipes, favorite sayings, bad habits. Other pieces are gifted to us from people that we meet along the way. We might have a lover who likes country music and listen to it just because they like it, and then discover that we like it too, and it's going to be a piece in our quilt. We might find pieces along the way entirely by chance, like a cat that wanders into the basement and somehow ends up staying all her life. And we seek out other pieces deliberately because they call to us, like making art or finding out what's on the other side of the mountains. All of these things are the pieces that we put together to make the quilt of our lives. And some of them are bright, beautiful pieces. Some of them are kind of dull. Some of them can be ugly and rough. But we have these pieces in our lives, whether we wanted them there or not. And so we have to work them into the quilt somehow. There are traditional quilt patterns passed down and shared through over generations. And there are traditional ways to build a life, to pattern your life. If 3 different women make wedding ring quilts, the pattern of many interlocking rings will be the same, but the quilts won't be identical. They'll each choose different colors. The rings might be different sizes, the quilts themselves different shapes and sizes. And if these 3 women get married, each to a man of about her own age, from her own ethnic group, from her own religion, then again, they're following a traditional pattern. And still, those 3 marriages won't be identical. They won't all be equally happy or equally long. They won't all have the same style. Some quilters don't like traditional patterns, and they like to use modern ones. Since the late 20th century, if you look at published quilt patterns, they're often asymmetrical. They have deliberately irregular rows. They're not based on a grid. And some marriages are also non-traditional, especially since the late 20th century, mixing people of different religions or ethnic groups or genders in ways that used to be considered very unusual. But it's what people want to do. And of course, some people just make up their own designs, and those are completely unique and personal, exactly the way they want them to be, regardless of what other people think a quilt or a marriage should look like. If I want to make a quilt the size of a king-size bed, entirely out of 1-inch squares of royal purple and neon orange, I can do that. And some people would think, that's going to be hideous. And some people would think, you're going to take 13,840 little tiny squares and sew them together? That is so tedious, I cannot imagine wanting to do that. If I feel like it, I will. And if you feel like it, go ahead. But if you want to make a quilt with one gigantic diamond in the middle, 4 triangles around it, and a border, grand total, 9 pieces, all shades of blue, go ahead. Won't look like my quilt, but that doesn't matter. My marriage doesn't look like your marriage either. And I say that without knowing anything about your marriage. Trust me, I'm not spying. So, no matter what pattern you're trying to create when you piece together your quilt or your life, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And the nature of the parts, plus the way you choose to put them together, determines the nature of the whole. Lives are rarely so orderly as a patterned geometric traditional quilt, even if we want them to be that way. And although people like Alvin Ailey might have one focus, one obsession, one life goal that is the center for their whole life long, most people's goals and focus tend to change as they move through their lives. And things that once were the center of our lives are no longer. So most people's lives end up at least a little bit like a crazy quilt, I think. Piecing together different people and places and experiences and events, all different shapes and textures and colors and sizes, taking whatever life gives us, whatever's in the scrap bag, and trying to make something useful and beautiful and comfortable out of it. But crazy quilts are not really random. They look like it, but they often have a color theme or square blocks made of crazy pieces. And they do usually end up as a rectangle to fit on the bed. Life is not entirely random, right? Little repeated experiences are very common. They form patterns, boring ones or comforting ones. The family dinner every night, the lilacs every spring, walking the dog, your holiday traditions. And the milestone experiences, the really significant relationships, the bigger pieces than are the small delights and sorrows, birth and death and marriage and divorce, graduation, incarceration, once in a lifetime trip, a hurricane that hits your town. None of this is really unique to you. Many people walk their dogs and have family dinners. Many people get married, but not everybody. And how we perceive these things matters. For some people, walking the dog is a dull-colored bit of fabric representing a chore that has to be gotten through every day. For other people, walking the dog is a bright spot embellishing their life that they look forward to. And the milestones, too. They may not be universal. Not everybody gets married. Not everybody lives through a hurricane. But everyone has significant relationships, good ones and bad ones. And everyone has to deal with some big troubles, natural disasters or political ones. And everybody gets some great joys as well. We have a lot of pieces of our lives that we didn't choose, and we have many situations that we can't control. Most of what happens in our life, arguably, is not our choice. The weather, other people's actions, the laws of physics, our own family history, all those things that we remember because we were told the stories, and sometimes we go, ooh. Sometimes we go, yeah. What we can choose is how we respond to these things and how we interpret their significance and connect them to other things. In every life, some of the bits are dull, but we can choose to appreciate the dull bits. Pieces of plain, dull-colored fabric can frame a brighter piece like a setting for a jewel and make it stand out more. You appreciate beauty and abundance and excitement more if you have once experienced dullness and scarcity and boredom. If your whole life was exciting, it would get tiring. A little peaceful, boring routine is sometimes nice. And there are some scary, ugly pieces in our lives too, which may loom large sometimes and dominate the whole pattern. But when this happens, the little dull patterns can be comfortable, can soothe our souls and remind us there is peace and harmony in the mundane little patterns of life, the family dinners and walking the dog. Or we can remember to look at the really beautiful pieces, the ones we sometimes take for granted, but the ones that are the color of laughter and the memories of the people we cherish. So speaking of people, we are all pieces in other people's quilts. You are all pieces in my quilt, and I am now a piece in yours. Small piece to start out with, but you never know. You don't always know how you appear in someone else's life. A kind word that you gave long ago, and you've almost forgotten, may remain as a bright memory for the recipient. Might be an embellishment on the crazy quilt of their life, a little gold button brightening up a dull piece of fabric that was stained with tears. In the quilt of my daughter's life, when she was very small, I was a big piece of warm, cozy fabric, a piece that she often lay on for comfort or looked at with love. But now she's grown and she's out on her own, and the quilt of her life's experiences is much larger, much more complicated. I'm still a piece of her quilt, but there are other pieces now that are as important as I am, and other people with whom she spends more time than with me now. I'm not the focal piece anymore. I'm not the center of her life the way I was when she was a toddler, but I'm still a piece of her quilt, and I always will be. And she is a precious piece of my life's quilt, all stitched in with love and pride and joy, and that's not going to change either. So in a never-ending process, we find or seek out or are given new pieces, and we have to fit them into the design of our lives. Sometimes a piece is precious from the start, perfect, just what we were looking for, and we fit it in very easily and gladly, stitching it in with threads of joy. Sometimes a piece that really doesn't seem to fit just needs to be turned around and viewed from a different perspective. You can stitch it in with threads of curiosity and willingness to learn something new. It may turn out to be as precious as the piece you've always loved, or it may not. The pieces that seem ugly or dull to us, they're part of the quilts, and we have to find some way to stitch them together that balances them with the pieces of love and beauty in the pattern. And this work goes on day by day as we encounter new people and new ideas, new songs, new experiences. All the pieces of our lives eventually join up to create a whole, beautiful, unique quilt that is greater than the sum of its parts. And I am glad to be a piece in the quilt of United First Parish Church, which will go with me for the rest of my life. It's a piece in my quilt. So thank you. And now, please rise in body or spirit to sing hymn number 128 in the gray hymnal, For All That Is Our Life.
Please be seated. We drink from wells we did not dig, and we worship in a sanctuary we did not build. As a voluntary association, our church is sustained through the gifts of our members and friends of our congregation, past and present. You can give online by going to ufpc.org and clicking on the donate button, or by placing a contribution in the offering plate. If this is your first time worshiping with us, please let the offering plate pass you by. Your presence here today is your gift to us, and we hope you will join us after the service for social hour. Now, may the ushers please come forward for the morning offering to support the good works of United First Parish Church. May it be joyfully given, and know that it will be gratefully received. Here at United First Parish Church, we gather in many ways to nourish the spirit, nourish community, put our faith into action, and participate in the life and leadership of our congregation. You can read about our upcoming programs in the order of service. And two that I'd like to highlight today are, first of all, on Thursday, New Year's Day, January 1st, from 7 to 8:30, our book club will meet on Zoom to discuss The Sympathizer by Viet Thanh Nguyen. It's a historical spy novel told in the first person by an unnamed half-French, half-Vietnamese narrator. It's a very interesting book. I'm about halfway through it, by the way. And the Zoom link can be found in the announcements email. And then, about a month from now, on February 1st, after social hour at 12:15, we'll be having a music discernment workshop led by a music consultant. Her name is Bailey Whiteman. Our congregation is in a year of discernment following 43 years of service of Norman Corey, our music director emeritus. And in this workshop, we'll be able to share our hopes and ideas for the musical future of UFPC. I hope you all attend. To me, it's as important as when we met earlier this year to discuss our plan for social justice action in the next coming years. So you have a month to think about what music means to you here at UFPC.
Please rise as you are willing and able, and place your hand over your heart for our benediction. Our lives are not yet complete. There is beauty to behold. There is work to be done. There is love to be shared. Let us go out of this sanctuary into the wide world, looking for beauty and grateful when we find it, ready to lend a hand with the work as we are able, knowing we are worthy of love and capable of loving, and putting love at the center of the pattern of our lives. Amen and blessed be. Please turn toward the center aisle and join me in singing our chalice extinguishing words as we offer each other a mutual benediction. Thanks, Joe. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.
Blessed be.